coronavirus, which is fast spreading, has had direct consequences on businesses. I am at Kempinski Hotel in Accra to interact with the general manager, Manish Nambia, to find out from him what measures his outfit is putting in place to stay in business. You're welcome.
Good morning, Ernestina. How are you?
I'm fine. Yourself?
Good, thank you. Welcome to Kempinski Hotel Accra.
Oh, thank you. So there have been projections that the coronavirus may last for 2 years or more. I want to find out from you, is the hospitality industry ready for the impact?
Yeah, well, it's a sad and the uncertainty is very sad. You know, we're facing things that we've never faced in our lifetimes before, and there's a lot of speculations on what's going to happen and how long it's going to last. One thing we're quite sure about, that nothing is going to come back to normal till there's some kind of a vaccine or some kind of medication that is effective in helping us to deal with it. Now, hospitality, as you rightly said, has been affected in a very, very bad way, and we're all trying to grapple with what has happened. History of pandemics and hospitality says that when the SARS epidemic affected parts of China and Southeast Asia, it took about 6 months for them to recover. The same thing with when Ebola came to West Africa, it's about 6 to 7 months. But when we're looking at coronavirus, China had the first cases somewhere in December last year, and they're still grappling to come back to normalcy. So if that's some kind of an indication, then we are looking at a pretty grim 2020 throughout, for sure. And then based on how things will come back. Now, in Ghana specifically, we depend a lot on business coming in from outside, and it's very important that they're able to come in. And if because of coronavirus people are scared to travel, or people have changed travel plans, or using alternate online media to have the meetings instead of physically being present, then obviously these also will force a change in some of the customer behaviors of using hospitality products.
Okay, so what measures are you putting in place to sustain your outfit during these times?
The key word here is survival. You know, one has to make sure that we survive this period and come out of it ready to welcome back guests who enjoyed our services in the past. There is no game book for this, of how do you deal with this. A good business would look at reducing its expenses, making sure that we have responsibilities in different ways. One is there's a responsibility to reduce your expenses, responsibility to make sure that the people who are working and the guests who come in are safe and not exposed to any kind of viruses in the hotel. There is a responsibility to make sure that the business survives this pandemic and is able to bounce back once everything is back. So there are different measures being put on different fronts to ensure sustainability.
In terms of safety of guests and staff, what measures are being put in place to ensure the sustainability of the two?
Yeah. So at this point of time, obviously we have very few guests in the hotel. We have, and most of the guests who are staying in the hotel are guests who have been in the hotel prior to the lockdown and have very limited exposure. Also, with the help of the government, we got most of the guests in the hotel checked to see if what the health conditions were. So as far as the guests living within the hotel, they're all very, very safe at this point of time. But of course, we've taken in measures like improving the levels of disinfection, making sure that we put in the white glove service that we have to make sure that employees wear masks at all points of time, to make sure that we stock facilities like buffets, meetings and gatherings, check-in. As you can see now, we have queue managers and we have spacing between customers so that social distancing is observed in all points of time. And we're trying to follow most of the recommendations that WHO and all the other organizations are telling us to keep ourselves and our customers safe.
Okay, so I'm sure that there have been some job losses. That if it has happened or occurred to your outfit, how prepared are you should this become necessary for your hotel to lay off some workers due to coronavirus?
Yeah, it's a very sensitive question, and at this point of time, we haven't really laid off anybody. We have most of the employees still in the hotel since the pandemic started. The future is quite uncertain, and these are things that we will start dwelling and discussing as it comes in. Our initial outlook for this whole pandemic was, July, September, and we said everything's going to bounce back. And obviously, we see now that it's not going to be the case. You see, so we will have to start looking in at measures to try and mitigate some of these problems that may arise. We don't have customers at this point of time. The hotel has 269 rooms, and we have about 10 rooms occupied in the hotel. And some of the people who are staying are customers who are stuck because of the quarantine and because of the planes not flying. Obviously, we took a humanitarian approach to some of that, and we reduced our prices. Also, because there's no travel coming in, what we're trying to encourage is weekend stays for Ghanaians in Accra, for people who have stayed back in Accra, and we are very flexible from a price perspective. Obviously, to keep in mind that a lot of the services that we would normally have in a hotel are not functional. Like, for example, the bar is not functioning, the spa is not functioning, the buffet restaurants are not functioning. So the offer from our side is also very marginalized.
Okay, so in terms of numbers, how much have you incurred as losses?
Yeah, the losses are drastic. As of now, we are looking in excess of about $4.5 to $5 million just in these last 3 months.
So are you seeking for a stimulus package from government?
We have requested. We were very lucky that the president gave us audience and was very keen in listening to what we had to say in the hospitality market. We did address some of the issues with His Excellency, and we were told that there were discussions on various fronts on how these things would be handled, and we are optimistically and positively looking forward to some of these things. There is no rule book on this. It's something that has taken us all by surprise. It has definitely shown how a lot of things that we are used to and we thought were impossible to live without can actually be done. I think consumer patterns are going to change. I think travel patterns are going to, at least in the immediate future, is going to change drastically. Hotels have to align themselves with keeping. Of course, all hotels are very hygienic and practice very high levels of hygiene and standards. Kempinski, for example, is ISO 22000 certified hotel. But we never had standards keeping a pandemic in mind, or keeping transmission of disease in mind. So these are all the concepts that we are trying to incorporate in our business. Businesses would have to look at being leaner, would have to look at managing expenses better. Businesses would have to cut off a lot of fat and unnecessary expenses that they were carrying on for a long time. And survival is the key. One has to survive this in the next couple of months.
Talking of survival, has your outfit instituted any innovative means to stay in business?
We start a couple of days ago. We instituted the white glove service. We're going in for innovative ways to look at how we can cater with takeaway food from the hotel for people. We are looking at ways in which we can provide the infrastructure that we have in the hotel for facilitating meetings for people who don't have the infrastructure of having large scale teleconferencing meetings. We are looking at staycations for people within the city to come and spend their weekend and stay with us. These are some of the approaches that we're taking. Hotels typically have very heavy fixed costs, which basically means that irrespective to having a guest or not, you are spending a lot of money every month, which are fixed in terms of expenses. I think reduction of these costs is one of the most critical things that we are looking at this point of time. Reaching out to our partners, finding innovative ways of reducing our expenses are some of the key things that we are looking at this point of time.
Okay, so I'm sure you're practicing social distancing. So how many persons do you take in a room?
In a guest room,
Yes.
by standard, we do not allow more than 3 people in a guest room.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then others?
In the sense?
Maybe the suite or the...
No, most rooms have a maximum capacity of 3 people, not more than that. Yeah.
All right. Though 9,000 hotel and guest house workers have been rendered jobless, General Manager of Kempinski Hotel, Manish Nambia, has indicated that his staff are still in full operation and none has been laid off. Ernestina Sewa Asante, reporting for GhanaWeb.